Imagine you're working for the AI4GOOD Festival. You have a great idea, and yet you make a mistake that will ruin everything. Good news, this actually happens all the time. But the bad news is, it could happen to you too. So today, I'm going to go over with you the mistakes that were made in previous editions, and we'll look at how you can avoid making them so you can create an amazing short film for us. The first mistake to avoid is having an idea that's too vague. For example, let's say your topic is using AI to save the planet. Okay, that's great. But why? How? With whom? A good idea is one that is precise. So if we go back to the previous example of saving the planet with artificial intelligence, we'll need to answer specific criteria. For whom? I don't know, students, for example. How do we do that? By giving them personalized recommendations based on their waste usage. Why are we doing this? Well, it would be to reduce their food waste. And so now your idea is much more precise, and it will clearly attract your audience's attention much more. Now, the second mistake to avoid is especially to make sure your story isn't inconsistent. So here, you'll need to focus on telling just one story with one problem, one solution, and one impact. Super simple, and that's enough. The third mistake, which is very common, is using very specific jargon. When I talk about very specific jargon, it's about going a bit too deep into a field so that only people from that field will understand what you're saying. Imagine you work in deep tech and you throw out a bunch of super technical terms about that field. Personally, I'm not going to understand anything, and it's going to be the same for a lot of people. So, try to assume that you're speaking to 12-year-old children. At least that way, it will be clear, precise, and everyone will be able to understand and interpret this little short film. The fourth mistake is forgetting that your character is human, no matter who your main character is. Whether it's a human, a robot, a plant, or whatever it is, it needs to have human traits. If you don't give it a personality, if you don't give it emotions, honestly, it's not going to touch anyone. So you really have to remind yourself that your character feels things, feels them the way you would feel them. And so through your short film, you need to make your character feel that so that we can feel it too. All right, next. The fifth mistake is a really common one. It's when a story goes in all directions. When I say it goes in all directions, I mean that in your editing, you have lots of different cuts. In your story, you have lots of subplots. So you'll have the life of one character, but also the life of a second character and another one. And actually, we get lost. We don't know what we're watching anymore. It can also happen with the sound, for example, when there are too many sound effects, too much music, and so on. But actually, no, you need to make something that's clean. Really, it needs to be neat so that when you watch it, you say to yourself, wow. And on the same note, it's also super important, because this has happened to us so many times before, that your visuals are consistent from start to finish. So you need to keep the same characters, and your character should always look more or less the same. Let's say you create a blonde character with glasses. Well, your character needs to be blonde with glasses from start to finish. You can't suddenly decide, oh, I don't want her to wear glasses anymore, so I'll just stop drawing them. No, unless you explain it in the story, people won't really understand why all of a sudden she doesn't need glasses to see anymore. It really has to be consistent for that. So there you have it. To sum up, those were the 5 little mistakes you absolutely need to avoid. You have to keep in mind that your short film should be enjoyable to watch. It shouldn't just be informative,